Okay, so now that I've gone past the overexcitement or the overjoy of purchasing and getting to experience this cutting edge technology in the all new Galaxy Z Fold 2, it is indeed time for me to share with you all not my first impressions or my initial thoughts or anything like that. We've done that already in the past videos. It is time for me to provide you guys with my full comprehensive review of this amazing piece of tech, and we're going to do that starting right now. Okay, for those of you in a rush, I want to go ahead and spare you all of the extra talk or the extra fluff and give you the opportunity to skip ahead into a section that you may be specifically interested in. In the video description, I will go ahead and include different timestamps if you would like to follow that setup. Otherwise, you could just go ahead and bear with me as I walk you through what it's been like experiencing or using this phone over the past 2 weeks. Now, for those of you who are new to the channel or who have watched videos on the channel and have not subscribed yet, please do me a huge favor and hit both the like and the subscribe button there. It's a tremendous help to the channel, and I truly and always, of course, appreciate your support here. Now, let's go ahead and start off with design, right? This is kind of the flagship thing about this phone. It's a freaking folding phone. And believe it or not, outside of the tech community, not many of the people that I know were actually aware that such a phone exists. It just kind of blows their mind. You know, you have kind of this large display that you can unfold the phone and turn it into. So a lot of thinking went into the making of this phone, particularly this hinge here. And I'm pretty sure that's based off of the feedback received from the previous Galaxy Fold. This has been especially improved to offer not only a very firm closing feel, but also kind of a clamping shut sound, which is just very, very satisfying. It also offers different viewing angles, as you can see here, not necessarily saying that it is the most practical thing on this phone, but it's more like it's just one of those features that you have on this phone that makes it so exciting. It's just so cool. Then of course you have this outside display, which now stands pretty tall at 6.2 inch with extremely thin bezels that you can see here. In the past 2 weeks, I actually have made heavy use of this display here. And as you would imagine, again, given that the display is pretty large for a front display on this phone, you can actually accomplish a ton more on it without necessarily unfolding this phone open. Now you add to everything that I just mentioned here this mystic bronze color, and it just makes the device really pop to the eyes. It just gives that very premium feel when you touch that polished metal with that matte finish that you see here, just so well made. And then you have that pretty familiar soft bump that you see here, which is the camera module setup on the back here, and this will be the main phone camera. And of course, overall, it's a different form factor. This actually requires some getting used to when you first start using the phone. It's not really a phone like any other that I personally have used before. So it does require some getting used to, and even after you are used to using it, you still need to learn how to get used to walk around with it, because once you close that phone, it becomes fairly thick, and when you have that in your pocket, it just feels pretty odd walking around and feeling that weird shape in your pocket. But anyways, that's just another thing about this phone. Now let's talk performance. And for your 2,000 bucks, you are looking at a base storage of 256 gigs and a 12 gigs of RAM. Now, it would have been great if there was an option for storage upgrade, but 2 weeks into it, I clearly haven't had any storage issues, and that's mainly because I personally carry 2 phones, and you do have kind of a manual way of expanding that storage externally. But it would have been really nice if they had the option maybe to jump onto a next tier that would have a larger internal storage, right? But it is what it is. Samsung went ahead and kept it this way for the USA model. The 12 gigs of RAM, as expected, has been just fantastic. This thing is a multitasking beast. It is, of course, 5G capable, which unfortunately I personally haven't gotten a chance to test just yet, but it does support 5G nevertheless. The Snapdragon 865 Plus chipset here has shown to be just the best that I've ever used on any phone, and performance has been off the charts. I guess it's kind of expected, right? Given the price of the phone and also the type of phone that this is. It has been very snappy and just flawless. It's really fast loading apps and just amazing at handling gaming here. It's loaded with that 120 hertz adaptive refresh rate, which, by the way, you can definitely see the difference, especially on a display this large, right? So just user experience has been so beautiful because you are pretty much dealing with kind of a mini iPad size display here on the phone. So whether it's just scrolling through documents or just scrolling through a web page, it is just such a beautiful display. And this is actually a pretty nice segue into the next section here, which is, of course, the displays and the specs. As I mentioned earlier, the front screen size is 6.2 inches, and this is an HD Plus AMOLED display with 2260 by 816 for the resolution, so pretty much on the tall side, as you can see here. And the refresh rate here is 60 hertz, unlike that of the larger display inside. But even though I have made heavy use of it, that 60 hertz has not bothered me, as some people may think. Because of course, you know, we've all grown accustomed to just that standard 60 hertz display on most phones that we use nowadays. And unless you are really the type of person that very, very much pays attention to how the scrolling is, you won't really notice that difference unless, again, you're that type of person, or if you have a different device that actually has a higher refresh rate where you can kind of do a direct comparison side by side. Now the main screen is huge. Again, it stands at 7.6 inch. It is also an AMOLED display with 2208 by 1768 and looks just so beautiful. Now, if you are coming from another device that is very PPI dense, you might just be able to distinguish kind of the difference, but there are actually, in fact, people who can actually easily distinguish that difference. I actually had someone in the comment section on one of the previous videos who was asking what is the main difference as far as PPI goes, or the way you look at the pixels of the Galaxy Note 10 compared to the Z Fold 2. He mentioned that because he has kind of a condition, he has a condition with his eyes, he tends to keep his phone pretty close to his eyes and he's able to notice pixels. He was wondering whether it's going to be a problem for him to get this phone going from a PPI dense phone into this phone, because he holds it so close to his face that he's going to start noticing the pixels and not really think that this phone display is as beautiful as, let's say, the Galaxy Note 10. Now, as far as myself, I personally think it's beautiful. Again, I'm not in the same situation as him where I'm actually able to detect pixels, but you do have some people who would be able to tell the difference. However, my take is that the average user will think that this is a beautiful screen. Now, I want to talk battery here. This thing is loaded with a 4500 milliamp hour battery. And even though this might actually catch people's attention because this is literally the same size battery as the one in the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, which is actually a smaller phone. You'll be surprised to know that I've actually had very positive experience over the past 2 weeks in terms of battery. Now, I'm sure that beyond battery management in the software, as the phone has and continues to learn my battery usage type, it has great battery life mainly because of my heavy usage of the front screen as opposed to that of the large screen inside. I also suspect that Samsung anticipated this when they made this phone with that very usable front screen. The phone is wireless charge capable and it's also reverse wireless charge capable. That being said, I do get battery juice that would last me all day. I end up the day with about 20% left, and I would say my SOT is right around 8 hours. I would say Limbo's slightly below. I've actually seen a little bit higher, but I would say about 8 hours is my SOT. Now I'm just going over additional features here. Now I do just love the fact that this phone enables you to enjoy that wireless DeX where you can cast things or mirror your screen on an HD TV. I mean, DeX has just been evolving like crazy over the past few years, and that's a true kudos to Samsung for pushing DeX so much. It does have a dual speaker setup on here, and you have one on each side of the phone, which is actually the correct way to place speakers here. And these are tuned by AKG, and of course the audio is pretty clean coming out, and it comes out pretty evenly when streaming media. You also have a built-in fingerprint sensor on that power button, which works so freaking fast. If you've watched some of my previous videos, then you know that I love those physical fingerprint sensors because they're just so fast and efficient and even more secure. And this one has been just fantastic, especially in these times, as you would imagine. Again, this one has proven to be really fast at unlocking the phone. There's also face unlock, right? So you do have the ability to unlock your phone using face unlock, but Personally, it's never been great for me, even on my previous Samsung phones, because I'm not always holding my phone right in my face when I'm trying to unlock it. So it's kind of a hit or miss. So I tend on this phone to use more of the actual fingerprint sensor on the physical fingerprint sensor on the phone. Now, cameras, as I've mentioned before, you just get kind of a wealth of cameras on this phone, starting with all three on the back there, meaning the ultra wide, the wide, and the telephoto cameras that are each 12 megapixels. Then you also get a 10 megapixel hole punch camera on the first display there, and another 10 megapixel hole punch camera on the main display, which of course takes pretty good pictures, as you would expect in this day and age, especially if you know what you are doing, because they've even added that pro video mode on there to use. Now, as an overview of this phone, user experience has been just so fantastic. From the get-go, when you get a brand new phone, you tend to get maybe frustrated trying to learn new things. This phone has been so fun trying to learn the way to use it, the new features about it, or even the old features that were found on the Galaxy Fold 1 that I wasn't aware of. So it's been just such a great and positive experience as I continue to learn about this phone. It's just really, really a fun phone. Performance and streaming media have been both fantastic. Now, as far as the usability goes, I'm having no issues typing on the front screen and the main screen using SwiftKey. I know some people are having a hard time with it, but I seem to be pretty fine with it. Now, One UI is also something that I've been so used to, and it's always been so smooth for me, and I love using it here. I've also gotten very used to that little crease there really fast, and nowadays I barely notice it's there. It's just like when using an iPhone, you barely notice that that notch is there. And of course, as final thoughts, just a few things that I'm hoping Samsung will be able to implement in the next Z Fold will be a high IP rating so that we have a water resistant phone. And of course, I'm talking about the next one. If they also have a way to include the S Pen somehow, that would be just so fantastic. You know, I love using the S Pen on my Galaxy Note 10 Plus. It would be so great if they can include that in the next one. But anyways, there are a few things like that, and also adding maybe a way to expand that storage using the micro SD card. That would be also another fantastic to add on there. But anyways, this here concludes my overall comprehensive review of this phone, and I hope you found this informative. Also hoping you enjoyed the video and that it helped your purchasing decision. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Of course, I'm going to catch you in the comment section, and I'm also going to catch you in the next video, and up until then, stay safe out there.